Steve and Sonia were expecting their first child. For nearly 9 months, they had ridden waves of anticipation and excitement. Life seemed full of hope and promise, and their deepest longings were soon to be realized. A day in July started out like any other, but didn't end how anyone expected. Steve and Sonia enjoyed breakfast together before Steve went to the office. Sonia was meeting her mum for shopping, so after farewelling Steve, she went upstairs to get ready. As Sonia got to the top of the stairs, she missed the top step and fell awkwardly back to the bottom. She lay motionless and knew that something was not quite right. She managed to drag herself to the phone and call Steve. Sonia was rushed to hospital. The news was not good. An emergency delivery was needed. Steve and Sonia were told to prepare for the worst. Sonia gave birth to a little boy, but he struggled for life. Doctors and nurses worked tirelessly on the newborn, with Steve and Sonia looking on helplessly. Sadly, after a couple of hours, little Thomas died. Steve said to me, "This isn't how we planned things. This was meant to be the happiest day of our lives. All our hopes and dreams as parents are shattered. Everything we longed for has been ripped away from us. Instead of celebrating, I have to bury my son. There's no hope. There's no future. What's the point going on?" Today we read the journey to Emmaus. It's a story of 2 disciples like Steve and Sonia, struggling to make sense of a recent event. In this case, the death of Jesus. Like Steve and Sonia, the disciples had expectations, hopes, and dreams. They hoped Jesus would be their Messiah. Instead, all their hopes were buried with Jesus in some dark tomb. A humiliated, crucified Messiah. It was impossible. It was unthinkable. Now they felt helpless and hopeless. Their hearts were cold, empty, heavy with sorrow, and numb with grief. But it's also a story of hope. The hope is that all of us can be touched again and again by the strength, comfort, and love of the compassionate stranger, the risen Jesus, who is with us on the journey, even though we may not always recognize him. Broken disciples are healed by the broken word and broken bread. Wounded hearts become burning hearts. Disfigured dreams are transfigured. The risen Jesus leads the disciples with hearts that burn and with eyes that see. They return to the Jerusalem community proclaiming that Jesus is truly risen. Steve and Sonia continue to struggle and pick up the pieces. They've come to see and find strength in the risen Jesus, present in the compassion and support of friends, loved ones, and complete strangers. Like the disciples in the story, they too trust that their hearts will be transformed and healed.